Hey, what's going on, guys? Kevin here for another talkie. Flying solo today. We're doing our top 10 part 2s of horror. So these are part 2 sequels of horror movies that I would rank, just my top 10 from worst to best. But it's like my 10 favorites, but it's my least of those favorites to my absolute favorite. So we're looking at, one being the absolute best. And if you guys know anything about me at all, if you've watched any of my other content, you probably know what my number one is, but we'll get there. So we're going to kick right off. I just want to say real quick, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps my channel immensely. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And of course, share this across social media if you're interested in doing that, and share it with your friends or whatever. Appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get into our top 10 part 2s of horror. So coming in at number 10, we've got Child's Play 2. I think this is by far my favorite of the franchise. I feel like it far surpasses the original. The original, you had, to set the groundwork for origin stuff, to introduce all the characters, and didn't really have to do that with part 2 as far as your main protagonist, your main antagonist. It does give us some help for Andy in this one with Kyle. I thought she was a great character. And this one, Chucky's front and center. There's not a lot of, not near as much insinuating that, wondering if Andy's the one doing it. I know his foster parents are suspicious of him and this and that, but I mean, we as the audience, we know for certain who's doing it. And it really gives it a fresh take. Chucky is more vicious in this one. He's, like I said, more front and center. And the finale taking place in the toy shop, the toy factory, where all the stuff just gets melded on and everything. There's some really good moments in Child's Play 2. It has a really good finale, probably my favorite in the franchise. This is definitely my favorite Child's Play movie, and I think it's far and away better than the first. Coming in at number 9 is Scream 2. I've always liked this movie. I was much higher on it back a few years ago. It slipped down a little bit, but I still enjoy it. It's hard to beat the original Scream as far as the franchise go. I just don't think they'll beat it. It's just hard to top that initial Scream film. But this one had a lot of fun involved in it. The kills were a little bit better in some ways. Some of the kills, anyways. You get some new faces, some familiar faces, and I will say killing Randy was a huge mistake. I've always thought they killed Randy way too early in the franchise, knowing all about horror movies and stuff. They've tried to replace him a couple different times throughout the series, and it just doesn't work as well. You have to have that guy that knows about the horror, that presence, guy or girl, that presence, that person who is familiar with horror movies, and so they can inform everybody of the rules and the new rules and how they keep resetting the rules and all this kind of stuff. So I thought that was a big letdown in the movie. And I really did like Timothy Olyphant in this movie. I thought it was pretty cool. That was back before I knew him. But looking back on it, from other stuff that I've seen him in, it's really cool now to see him in that kind of a role. And of course, you have Billy's mother, Laurie Metcalf, was psychotic to the max in this movie, and I thought she was entertaining. A lot of good stuff with Cotton Weary's character, and Sydney was really good in this one. I thought she was better in this one than the first. So yeah, Scream 2 sits right here at number 9. Number 8 is one that really surprised me, and that is Dr. Sleep. It is a sequel to The Shining, and I have never been the biggest defender of The Shining. Like, I like it, but it's not like the greatest horror movie ever, like everybody paints it. To me, it's just, it's not as great as everybody says it is. Like, that's just my opinion. Don't come at me with, hateful comments or anything. It's just my opinion. I'm not as big on The Shining as everybody else seems to be. I don't hate it. I like it. I mean, it's fine. It's serviceable. But Dr. Sleep was better. I got a lot more enjoyment out of Dr. Sleep. And I know that people look down on you when you're like, when you critique movies or whatever, and you claim to be a movie buff. And there's like, and I'm not really a movie buff. I love movies, but it's like, I know what I know. I'm good at what I know, and I'm knowledgeable at what interests me. But there's a lot of stuff that I'm not as well versed in because it's not my cup of tea. But when you're in this community and like you say that you don't like something that's popular or almost the mainstay of what's good and what isn't, like a lot of people just think you're trying to be trendy or something like that, and you're just speaking out against the masses, and it has nothing to do with that. It's basically what interests me, what entertains me, and what doesn't. And The Shining, like I said, is competently made. It's a good movie. It's not fantastic to me personally. But Dr. Sleep, I thought, cranked it up to a whole nother level and made it a lot more interesting when he goes back to the Overlook and you get to see those spirits again and how they're still doing the same exact things. And it's almost like they're kind of like stuck in this loop of existence in that realm, and it's kind of creepy to think about it from that angle. Ewan McGregor was great in this role, and he has a really good character arc from really just kind of just living day by day and just having a hard time at it, and then he just he eventually starts going to AA and trying to clean himself up and gets a job, and I appreciate arcs like that. It's not just negativity all the time, and then he realizes that there's other people out there with abilities, and now there's these energy vampires that are stalking people and killing people and all of that. Excuse me. So now he has to help this young girl out, and they kind of form a kinship, a bond, a friendship with each other, fighting these other entities. So I thought that was really interesting. Coming in at number 7 is Friday the 13th Part 2. Definitely upped the game from the first one. I've never been the biggest fan of Farmer Jason, or feed sack Jason, sackhead, whatever you want to call it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Jason was a little bit clumsy in this one. He falls over and he breaks his pitchfork and blah blah blah. Stuff like that. It's fine. It shows that he's vulnerable. He's a human. He's not undead yet. And I kind of like that. I like the final girl here. Jenny is much better than Alice was, in my opinion. I prefer Jenny. She puts up a lot better fight, and she has a really good presence, on-screen presence. The cast is a little bit better here as far as your supporting characters. They mean just a little bit more than the other ones did to me from Part 1. Part 2 has better, in some instances, better kills. And I know Tom Savini is kind of the king of, that kind of stuff on screen, the on-screen mayhem in that department. But he didn't do it for Part 2, but I think they upped the ante in Part 2 in a lot of ways. And so I appreciated that. The finale is better in this one, I think, than in the first one. And I really wish, though, that that they had gone and explained the lore about how did Jason drown or did he not? And if he didn't drown, which I don't think he did now, no one want to know, then why didn't he just go find his mother and try to fix that situation? And why was he living in the woods all these years? And you saw your mother decapitated, but you didn't act then. and then you act later, you hunt down Alice later and take care of it then, and now you're just killing people all the time in the woods. Like, it just doesn't make sense. If you try to make sense of it, it doesn't make sense. And of course, the continuity and the timeline and everything from Friday has always been messed up. But you know, it is what it is. I still have fun with it. So you just, a lot of times you just have to turn your brain off and just, you know, have fun with it. But I do think Friday the 13th Part 2 is superior to Part 1. Now we're at number 6, and I'm going to put Saw 2 here in number 6. Saw 2, I don't prefer to Saw 1, but I do think it continues the story. I think, of course, Tobin Bell's Jigsaw gets a lot more to do here. He gets a lot more screen time, and he gets to actually have conversation with Donnie Wahlberg's character, which I really think, Eric Matthews, which I really think is good. Some of the best parts of this movie is listening to John Kramer talk, and you know, I've always said that if you know, a lot of people don't like Saw because of the brutality and the traps, and they just think it's torturing people. But I guarantee you, like, if the Saw franchise cut out all of that and just did like a crime drama or whatever, and like, even if it was PG-13 or whatever, and you had this same exact story continuing with all the same exact twists and everything, a lot of people who hate Saw or hate on Saw would be a lot more receptive to it. And I know that that's not, you know, us as horror fans, we're just like, no, that's sacrilege, we ain't doing that. But I'm saying from the outside of people, a lot of the reason why people don't watch Saw is because they can't handle the gore and the violence and the torture and all of that, which is understandable. I get it. It's not for everybody. But if you were to take that part of it out and keep the narrative, the story exactly the same, a lot more people would be receptive to it, especially with all the twists. Saw is known for its twists throughout every single film. There's twists. And so I think it would mean a lot more to a lot of people, but we got what we got. But I do think Saw 2 is a really good installment in the franchise. I'd put it somewhere in the middle of ranking the Saw franchise. It's not better than the first one in my opinion, but I do like the character moments of Jigsaw in this one. So now we're at number 5. We've reached the halfway mark, and I'm putting Final Destination 2 here. Final Destination 2 is my favorite of the franchise. I think the log truck accident, I've never looked at a log truck the same. If I'm driving down the road, I won't drive behind one. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. It's ruined traffic for me. So I'm always constantly, while I'm driving, I'm looking around saying, okay, what's going to kill me this time? You know, what do I have to be aware of here? Because I don't want something like that happening. It has affected me on a mental level now. But Final Destination 2, very entertaining. They did a good job expanding the rules and having Tony Todd show up again. And, you know, it was always cool seeing him show up and explain kind of what death is thinking and what's the rules to survive and what you need to know and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Final Destination 2, better kills than the first one, better characters than the first one, and more inventive ways for things to happen. The thing I like about Final Destination is you can watch a scene, you know something's coming, and you'll just see a little bit of something here and a little bit of something here. How's it going to play out? What's going to cause this chain of events? And so you can just start slowly seeing things happen. And that's what it keeps you on the edge of your seat. You're like, oh, this is going to be bad. But Final Destination 2 is my favorite of the franchise, and it sits right here at number 5. Number 4, Insidious Chapter 2. And this is neck and neck with the first one. I go back and forth on which one I like better. But this is a perfect continuation of the first one. I really like the direction it went. I really like they expanded on the Bride in Black character that kept showing up in the photographs on the first one, which is one of the most eerie things about that whole movie. Insidious Chapter 2 has some great character moments and some great scares. There's jump scares, but there's always that creepy atmosphere that you're just it keeps you looking in the background. Like, you got your character right here in the forefront, and you're just like, okay, now what's going to happen? I'm constantly looking past somebody like that to see if there is a ghost in the background, or is something going to move, or something going to be missing that should have been there, or, you know, it's just they do a really good job of the cinematography, just keeping you guessing what's going to happen. And you know, and sometimes it's just boom, just right in your face, you know, and then other times it's a lot more subtle. But I love the story continuing here with the family from the first one. I wasn't as big as the series progressed. It was more and more diminishing returns for me. Especially 4 and 5, I'm just like, I'm not real big on those films, especially with the family arc that happened in the Red Door. I'm not as big on, but these first 2 movies are where it was just peak to me. So that sits right here at number 4. Number 3, I'm going to put Psycho 2, and this one surprised me because I know the first one is a classic, and it, you know, most people hold it in such high regard, and I do too. But I do believe this one might just inch it out. I think Psycho 2 might be just a little bit more entertaining. I'm not saying it's a better made film, but I think it's more entertaining because there's more of a mystery aspect to it. Is Norman flipping his lid again? What's happening here? There's a mystery element to it that really wasn't as much. I mean, there was a mystery in the first one, but once the jig is up, the jig is up. So, but like Psycho 2, you know, this guy's trying to continue on with his life and get on with his life, and stuff starts happening again. So it's like, well, what is happening? Like, we're the viewer, and we're just like, what's going on here? This movie, the soundtrack, the cinematography, the mood that it sets is great. It keeps you guessing, and the atmosphere that it sets is really just eerie. It takes me back to that time period. The last time I watched it maybe a couple months ago or something, and I was catching things in the background. It's like the way that his home was decorated and arranged, and stuff that's just sitting around. To me, it just took me back to that time period. It reminded me of my old house that I grew up in, and it really took me back to that time and place, and I really appreciated that. But Psycho 2 is great. I'm not going to spoil anything as much as possible here, guys. But Psycho 2, if you haven't watched it, please give it a watch. It's so worth it. It's a great companion piece to the first. Again, I'm not as big on the sequels as they went on, but Psycho 2 is my favorite of the franchise. All right, we're in number 2. Our runner-up is The Conjuring 2. And again, I'll say the same thing that I said earlier in this video. This one also, I can flip with the first one. I go back and forth on which one I like more. But The Conjuring 2 is definitely, it's awesome. It's like, it takes it to a whole nother level. Again, you've got these subtle moments, you know, and then all of a sudden it can be right in your face. And it's not always a jump scare. Sometimes it's just mood and atmosphere. Like, this introduced us to the nun character, and I do plan on doing a ranking of the Conjuring universe at some point coming up soon, hopefully. But this introduces us to that character, and it's done better in this movie than either of the Nun films, in my opinion. I'm not big on the Nun movies at all, but I do love this one. The scene where Lorraine is downstairs, and like there's that painting of the nun in the background, and you see the shadow walking toward it, and it just stands behind the picture of the nun's painting or whatever, and then you see the hands come around the front of it. Oh, that's so creepy. And it's just moments like that just really just creep me out. Now, I will say, and I've heard other people say this too, as far as like the Crooked Man thing, that's my one flaw of this movie, that I just don't like the Crooked Man character. They should have just left it alone, because it's done with just really shoddy CGI, and I don't like it. It takes me out of the movie. That just doesn't look real at all. And it just seems like you got all these amazing effects throughout this entire movie, but this one spot here where you keep showing this guy, it just doesn't have the same effect. And so I would have left that guy out. But the old guy, that Bill Wilkins or whatever his name is, that sits in the corner. He's scary. And the way that he talks, and he just, my house, and his face just shows up somewhere, and like he's holding the remote, and then she sees his reflection in the TV, and then she turns around and looks, and the remote just drops. It's stuff like that. It's just really unsettling, and it makes this movie so much more like it's supernatural, but it's grounded, and that's why I didn't like the Crooked Man stuff, because it doesn't have the same effect. It's not as good as The Nun. It's not as good as the old man in the corner chair. It just takes me out of it. But the rest of this movie here is awesome. It just sets a great mood. I love the characters. It's believable, and so I buy into it. And my number one is this guy right here, Halloween 2. My favorite of the franchise. Not a popular opinion. Most people prefer Halloween 1 to Halloween 2. And Halloween 1 is a classic, and I'll never, ever, ever bash it. But Halloween 2, to me, is creepier. Dick Warlock, the mask looked creepier on him. He had the creepy, just really slow, melodic, but it's like a machine, kind of very slowly walking towards his prey. Stalking in the hospital where there's the seclusion. And yeah, there's the big running gag about, the hospital doesn't have very many people in it, but that just kind of makes it more eerie. Like if it was like we know hospitals where like the lights are always on and everything, it's not going to be spooky like that. So they had to make it to where it's got dark hallways and it seems kind of barren, but you're confined to this space, and it's just a lot of really good moments, a lot of really good kills. I think the kills were better in this one. And I know that the first one wasn't the traditional slasher like came to be in the 80s, mainly because of Halloween. And this one kind of followed the Friday the 13th template for violence and stuff like that. But all things considered, I mean, Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance was fantastic, and it builds upon the lore. And I really like the Deputy Hunt character, and I wish we could have got more of him. I prefer him to Charles Cypher's character. Sheriff Brackett. I prefer Hunt to Brackett. There's some really just eerie moments here. The way that Michael walks and some of the kills, and slowly stalking his prey. And the way that it ends with the big fire walk and everything, the explosion in the hospital. It's so many good moments. And Halloween 2 is my favorite slasher of all time. And it is one of my favorite franchises, Halloween, of all time. Probably my favorite overall franchise. But Halloween 2 has always been my favorite. And so it sits right up here at number 1 on my part 2s of horror. That's my list, guys. It's not a perfect list. It's just my list. Feel free to put some of yours down below. Which ones did I miss or forget or maybe leave out? Put some of yours down below if put your part 2s down there. I want to see everybody else's opinions on this. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. So until next time, we'll see you later.